everyone, welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for clicking on this video and I hope you all are doing well. In this video, I'll be sharing with us how to make this beautiful dartless cupped corset, which I'll also be showing us how to drape the front yoke on the corset, and later we're going to be doing a fabric placement using a lace that's a George fabric. In my previous video, I showed us how to draft and cut this corset. So this video is the sewing video. If you haven't seen the video on how to draft and cut this corset, I will drop the link in the description box and also in the comment section so that you can watch and understand perfectly what we are doing in this video. Okay? So if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure you put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And please share this video, like this video, leave a comment. Thank you, and let's get right into the video. So I have all my pieces ready. Here are the cups. This is the upper part of the cup, and this is center front and side front. I made sure not to interchange them when ironing my hasty. I ironed hasty to the fabric, and then I ironed gum stay to the lining. This is to give the lining stability since I'm going to be caging the bust. So for the center front, this is center front, you can see CF. I also ironed gum stay to the lining, and I ironed hasty to the main fabric. On the main fabric, I doubled my hasty just to give it that nice stability. The side front, I repeated the same thing. The parts I'll be joining together, I notched them, and I made sure not to mistakenly interchange this. So I made sure to keep them exactly the way they are. So you want to also do the same thing. So right now we have all our cups, and this is our front piece. I also ironed hasty to the main fabric. This is serving as the main fabric, and this is the lining. On the lining, I ironed gum stay for the front. So here's our back. I did the same thing. I have two pieces for the lining, two pieces for the main fabric. For the back, I ironed stay on all of them. I didn't iron gum stay on the back piece, both lining and fabric. So also here we have the center back, which is the one carrying the eyelet. That's going to carry the eyelet. You can see I cut this one on fold. And you see it's on fold, and I folded in 1/2 inch. That's the sewing allowance I added because this is going to be an eyelet panel. So I cut it exactly on fold. Can you see that it's exactly the same measurement? All I did was to add 1/2 inch. So that 1/2 inch I added, I folded it in. So we'll understand why it is like this. And then I added 1/2 inch at the upper part, 1/2 inch at the down part. So you can see that the pattern is shorter than the main fabric. And I have two pieces, one for the left and the other is for the right. I also have the front yoke. These are front yoke. I added my 1/2 inch sewing allowance round. For the back, I did the same thing. Here for the back, after adding my 1/2 inch round, I have 4 pieces. 2 is for the left, 2 is for the right. 1 is serving as the lining. So also the front yoke, I have 2 pieces. 1 is serving as the lining for the other, okay? So this is it. And then for the modesty panel, I cut it on fold. So I just have 1 piece and I cut it on fold. And then here I went ahead to cut a basic sleeve. It's just a basic sleeve. So if you haven't seen my video on how to draft and cut a basic sleeve, I'll be dropping the link in the description box so that you can watch and learn how to do that. So here are the bra cups we're making use of. I've also gone ahead to dart them. In my previous video, I showed us how to dart the cup, how many inches you need to create your dart. So I've done it for both of them. So now we get to the sewing machine so that we can start stitching our pieces together. I'll be starting off with joining the cup pieces. So here is our center front and this is the side. First, I'm going to pick the center front. So I'll just pick one of them. This is the lining, center front and side front. So it is obvious I'll be joining these two together because the other two are going to match up this way. Can you see? So this is the point I notch where I'm joining together, and then this is the upper part. So I'll go ahead and stitch. You want to make sure to replace the pattern on top of it so that you don't mistakenly interchange it. Okay, so here we are. After stitching it on 1/2 inch, this is what I have. So next I'm going to pick the lining also of the upper part. Now this is it. Remember that when I picked this was the wrong, this was the side showing the gum stay and the other side. So now this is now our center front. I picked this one from here and this one from here. So I'm just going to now notch this side, because as you can see, I'm going to join them at the upper part here. So it's now easy to mistake the both of them. So I'm notching the center front now. So I'll pick the lining and place it this way. So can you see that I notched the center front on the upper part? So I have to pick correctly so that I don't mistakenly interchange them. So this is our center front at this side now. So I'll have to pick the one that the center front is also at this side. Can you see? So this is the one that has the center front at this side, and this other one is this way. So I'll place it this way, like this, right side facing right side. And then I'll start stitching. So while stitching, I'm going to open this seam allowance. Just make sure to keep it open. Okay, so here we are. Do you see? So after stitching the cup, this is what I have. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for all the pieces I have here, and I'll take it to my pressing table and give it a very good press, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. So, and you can see that this is a crease line. It is obvious that this is the center front. I'm going to have one boning here. I'm going to be sewing my bonings on the lining. So you can decide to sew yours on the fabric or you sew on the lining, just like I'm doing. So I want the main fabric to just be seamless. And remember, we're still going to be placing our judge on it. So I've drawn the center line. I'm going to give a space of 2.5 inches. That's from the hem here. And then from this side here. I'll mark. So I'm just going to make sure that my measurements are even. Whatever I'm doing on the left is what I will do on the right. So I'll also mark same 2.5 inches. So I've marked all the boning lines. I'm going to have one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have one also here at the side. Can you see? One will just go to the side here. So I will measure what I came up by here, 5 3/4. So I'm going to make sure that what I'm doing here on this side, I will repeat on the other side. I'm done marking all the lines where I'm going to be stitching my bonings, and I've also cut out the boning I'll be stitching to this part. So for this center front, I cut the boning 1/2 inch below this V shape, this neckline I have here, and then you can see it's getting to the end of the corset. So I'm going to stitch this boning here at the center. I'll be stitching it at the tip of the boning on both. I'm done stitching the middle boning. I'm going to stitch others here also. I'm going to stitch others here. So placing the boning at this point, I will also come down by 1/2 inch. Can you see? 1/2 inch. So now this is it. You can see that this place is not straight. So I'm going to curve the boning to fit into this shape. Can you see? So I'm going to curve it like this. I'll cut it in a curvy manner like this. You see, I didn't cut it straight. So I'll place it this way here, like this, and then I'll have it get to this point. So you can see I placed it 1/2 inch away from the cup. So I'll cut out what I need. So I'll place it this way now and stitch. Just like I stitched the center boning, I'm also going to stitch this one, and I will repeat the same thing for all the other pieces and then show us the next thing to do. Okay, so as you can see, I have pressed our front piece, and this is what it looks like on the reverse side, and this is what it looks like on the right side. You can see it is neatly stitched. I also did the same thing on the back pieces. That's the lining as well. All my bonings are on the lining. You can see these are 2 back pieces. I have one on the side here, and then I have 2 here. So the other bonings I'm going to have will be on the eyelet panels. Okay, and this is it for the 2 sides. So we can now keep this aside. And then here are the bra cups. These are the linings. I've gone ahead to press them. I pressed my seam lines open, as you can see, and this is it. Can you see how nice it is sitting? So you can see how well cupped, how well molded the cups are. And this is the main fabric. For the main fabric, after pressing the seam lines open, I used haste to keep it open. So you can see, because this one I'm going to have boning stitched on them, so that's why I didn't bother doing that. You can see how nice and well pressed this one, that's the main fabric, is also. Can you see? that nothing is under it. You can see how nice the cup is sitting. We don't have the bra cups yet under it, and it is sitting really well. I'm talking about the already made bra cups that we're going to be attaching to it. You see, it is well molded. So you want to use your bust ham to iron this very, very well. So now the next thing we're going to do is to cage the bust, and we'll be doing that on the lining. So I'm just going to keep the main fabrics aside, and then I'll show us how we'll be caging the bust. So we have different methods of bust caging. I've shown us the crisscross method on this channel. So this method I'm showing us is a different method. We have different methods of bust caging. So whichever one that works better for you is fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is to come down by ½ inch from the starting point of my cup. So if you can eyeball your ½ inch, that's fine. If you can't eyeball it, just measure it. So here I marked ½ inch. So I'm going to mark it round like this. Okay, I'm done marking the vertical lines, and this is what I have. So for the horizontal bonings I'm going to have here, one will be exactly at this point I joined together, and then one will be at this bust point. Remember I said that the bust point of my client, remember when we took the measurement, I said 14.5 inches is her under bust point. So upwards, I marked upwards, and I have my 3.5 inches, which is the distance from the bust point to the under bust point. So that is this point that I notched here. Can you see? So I'm also going to have one boning going this way. So I'll have 3 vertical lines, and I'll have one this way, and then one also this way. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my boning. This boning is almost finishing, so the way it is curving is so much, okay? So but that's not notwithstanding, we can go ahead and sew. So now to place my boning, take note that this is the wrong side of our fabric and this is the right side of the lining here. So I'm placing the boning to face, I'm placing the boning this way, and you see, this way, like this, because the curved part should be the part that will face up. Remember that when we place this cup, this is our lining. When we place this cup sitting in the that's the main fabric, so that this curves up and push up, give us that nice push up effect. So this is the right way to place your boning, in a curved way like this. So I'm going to just measure what I need from here to this point, and I'll cut it out. This is so that I don't have too much curves to work with. So this will be easier for me to stitch. So I'm going to place it here like this, and then I'll start from this ½ inch mark I already marked here. So you see, so now I'm going to just open up the cup so that I'm stitching right inside it and following the mark I created already. You see, so I'm going to stitch like this. So you can see I cut my bone with a bit of excess. So I'm just going to now cut it so that it blends into this curved shape. Remember that this side is a curve, so I'll not be cutting it straight. So can you see? I'm cutting it in a slanted shape. So now it's matching up with the line I already marked here. I hope we understand that. If you cut it straight, it means that one part will be poking out. This part is not straight, it is curved. So please make sure you are following the shape of your, that's the curved shape of your cup. So I'll go ahead and stitch the second side of the boning. I'm stitching the first vertical boning, and this is what I have already. So I'm going to place the others. So I'm going to be placing one here and one here. So I'll stitch it exactly the way I did for the other ones, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. Here are vertical lines already sewn. So next I'm going to place my boning here this way. It will go this way. So I'll just measure out what I need, just like I did for the others. You want to make sure to take this measurement well so that it reaches the end here. It's better to have a little excess that you can trim out than to have a shortage, please. So I'm going to make this part straight. Just bend it a little so that to allow you sew. So I'm going to place it here on this line, making sure that it's exactly at the line I marked, not after it. So can you see how I'm arranging my cup well so that I can sew it into the curved shape here. So I'll trim out my excess. You see, you can see how I stitched it into the curve. Once you stitch it correctly, the cup will just start coming out. You can see that the cup is no longer folding again. This will help hold it in place. You see? So this is it. Can you see how beautiful it is? I'm going to stitch the next one. So I'll also have one crossing over this point. So I'll measure what I need here like this, and then up until this point, and then cut it out. So I'll just move away from this part by 1 inch, and then I'll start stitching. So I'll open up my cup. Can you see I'm using my hand to open up the cup so that I can stitch into the curved shape? So I'm going to turn it here. Just make sure around this side, turn it correctly. You see? So can you see how it just curves? So I'll now stitch the next one. So I'll trim out the excess I have here. Can you see? This is what I have. Start stitching it, and see our cup is already coming out without ironing yet. So I'm just going to bend all this, you know, when you bend it to fit into the shape. So by the time we're pressing it, everything will come out so beautiful. So the next thing I'm going to do is to stitch the one that will go around the base. So I'm going to stitch one here first. So I'll stitch this upper part first. So I have one covering it like this. So I'll cut out what I need. Last one I'm going to have will go round, starting from this point. I'll take it round to this point. So I'll also measure the amount of boning we need here like this. So right now I'm done stitching the bonings. Can you see what it looks like? So it's now time for us to take this to the pressing table so that we can iron it. So exactly what I have done on this cup is what I will repeat on the other cup. But for now, let me show us the main fabric. Remember that I have my notch here. This is our center front. The side front does not have a notch. So I'm going to pick the main cup and identify which one has the notch here. So this one is the one that has the notch. So we're going to have it sitting on it like this. And you see how it fits in very well. So now, if you didn't have a bra cup, let's say you're not going to be using a bra cup, you need to use flat fiber. You need to use fiber to flesh up this area, but because I already have a bra cup that I'll be placing on it, so there is no need for fiber. The essence of the fiber is to give it that human feel, that soft feel, so that it's not hard. You can see that the boning is hard. So in order to give it that soft feel, here is my bra cup. I'm first of all going to pin it. You want to make sure that it aligns with this joining here. So this place I have my dart. I'm going to just fit it into it like this, and then I'll secure this point with my pin first. Can you see? I've done that. And then I'm going to pin this side. So remember that this is the cup I used to create the corset cups. So this does not have an option but to fit in. Can you see? So I don't need to do too much. It's coming out well already. So just stretch it out very well so that everything is sitting well. Can you see that there's nowhere that has any pointiness? It's sitting really well inside it. You can see that our bra cup, what we have here, the sewing allowance here is less than 1/4 of an inch. So you can see my 1/2 inch sewing allowance showing at this side. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and then stitch on this stitching allowance that they gave us for the bra cup, just to hold them together. I will stitch just on this side, that's this way, following the curve shape, and I'll stop here. And I'll show us how we place it over this cup and the next thing to do. As you can see, I'm done stitching the bra cup. So I stitched on this 1/4, this tiny sewing allowance we have here, and this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join it to the lining, that's to the caged bust already. So I'm going to place them. This is the right side of our liner, and this is the right side of the main fabric. I'll place them right side facing right side like this. And you see how they are sitting in each other. It just fits in perfectly. So I'll use my pin to secure it. And then I'll also secure this end. So So I'll be stitching on this sewing allowance I left here, this half-inch sewing allowance. I'll stitch from this point to this point. So before we go ahead and attach our bra cups,
as you can see, I'm done stitching the upper part
I'm
of
going
the
to place it like this.
Right now, I'll turn the cup inside
Right
out.
side facing
you can see
right
this
side.
is what we have on the right side of our cup. And see how nice and beautiful it's sitting.
Stitch this area.
I'll need to press this. When pressing it, you mold it again. I'll be molding
this upper
it
part,
again.
I'll stitch this side as well.
The more you
and
mold
I'll also
it,
stitch
the better result you'll have. So you just need to mold the cup correctly. Use your bust hand to iron it well, and everything will come out really beautiful. And you can see how beautiful it already looks right now. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the second cup
and I'll take it to the ironing table and give it a good press. So I'm done pressing it. So I'm going to stitch this part together. That's this open side now. I'll stitch them so that they are together. I'm done stitching them together. So the next thing we're going to do now is to stitch the cups. So first you must identify, I'll make sure to identify the center front. This is the part for the center front and this is it here on this side. So I'll be stitching this side first. So I'm just going to open it up like this. And then I'm going to pin from here. I want to make sure that it aligns with the upper part. It. So I'm going to pin it this way. So now it is the main fabric. See the lining here. The main fabric I pinned on the right side. Can you see? I pinned it on the right side and I'm going to stitch it following the half-inch sewing allowance. That's it, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. Well done, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so after stitching, this is what we have. So So I'm just going to turn the cup like this. And you see, this is what it looks like on the right side. You can see how nice it's sitting. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to top stitch the caged bust. But before we do that, can you see how this place is? It needs notches. I'll need to notch this part, especially this curved part. This is so that it relaxes well. You see that by notching it now, I have a more relaxed look here. So this is just it. So now I'm just going to tuck this in like this. So I'll go ahead and tuck in my seam allowance like this. So just tuck it in, make sure everything is neatly tucked in. It may not be very easy to pin it. This is because our material is thick, but just try. So tuck it in like this. This is what I have. So you want to be very sure that it's sitting really well. So I'll go ahead and top stitch it this way. So I'll be starting from this side now. Okay. So this is what our cup looks like. You see, we'll need to press this place so that we'll give it that relaxed and nice look. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the second cup, just exactly the same way, and see that the cup is coming out really well. So by the time I press it, all these parts will relax very well. So I'll repeat the same thing on this cup, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. Okay, I'm done stitching the other cup. See, this is what it looks like on the wrong side here, and then this is what I have here on the right side. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to take this to my iron table and iron this side I stitch, so that it will relax very well. I'll do the same thing here, just iron it around and make sure it is well relaxed. And I'm also going to iron this center so that everything sits very well. I'm done ironing the corset, and this is what we have. You can see it is well relaxed now. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in the yoke first. So this is our yoke. I have turned the neckline already. I've turned the neckline. So I'm just going to use my pins to secure it to the upper part of the bustier this way. So first I'm going to pin it on 1/2 inch here at the center. Then I'm going to place it over like this. Can you see? So it is overlapping on top of the bustier. That 1/2 inch I added, which is my sewing allowance, so it's just overlaying with that 1/2 inch. So you can see I'm done pinning the yoke, and this is what we have. So I'm going to be using my needle and thread to tack this point. But before we do that, this is what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to confirm the underbust point. Remember I said that the underbust point of my client is 14.5 inches. So you can see that this is her nipple point, which is 11 inches. And then this is it, all the way to the shoulder. Can you see? So from shoulder to underbust is 14.5 inches. So this 1/2 inch is just my stitching allowance for joining the yoke together. And you see that it's just 1/2 inch I have here left. So you want to make sure that when you are placing the yoke, confirm all these measurements so that you don't have any issues when you are done. So I'm confirming this side as well, 11, and then to this point. You can see that I also have just my stitching the shoulder allowance I'll be using to stitch the shoulder together, which is 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to use my thread needle and thread to just tack this yoke. I'll be tacking it very close to the tip here. That's very close to the tip here. Then I'll trim out this excess I have. I won't be just leaving it there. So I'll tack it and come back and show us. So after tacking the yoke, this is what we have. So now I'll go ahead and reduce the seam allowance. That's, I'm going to cut it close. You see? So now, if you are not using a George lace like I'm doing, you will need to embellish this area. You cannot leave it this way. You just have to embellish it so that you don't leave the net this way. Because this is what it looks like. Can you see how it looks on the reverse side? You see? So you can't just leave the net on top of it this way. So you need to embellish this part to cover up this net here. But for me, I'm working with a George fabric. Okay? So here is our George fabric. First, this is the pattern I want to have on top of it in front here. So I'll get the midpoint of this pattern like this. And now I know that this is the center. You see, the scallop shape went in at that point. So I'm just going to place it like this. I want to make sure that that center also aligns with the center front. I want to make sure that it aligns with the center front. So this is it. You see? So I'm making sure that it aligns with the center front. So I'm going to pin this point. You see? So having secured this point, I'll go ahead and now begin to drape it, just to make sure that I stretch it out and make sure that everything is well relaxed. So remember that because I'm working with a George fabric, some of these scalloped areas, I need it to really come out. So I'm still going to have to cut out some embellishments and cover up the parts that are not properly covered. But the idea is to have the pattern of the George sitting directly at the center front that's well aligned. So here I'll pin this point like this. Then I'll also pin it this way. I'll also arrange this side well. You see? So I have it already pinned. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to start stretching out this side. Now you can see that this actually looks like a human being. This is how a bust usually comes up. So at this side here, I'm just going to form a little dart. That's the bust dart. This is so that you don't have any gathering effect here. You see? You see, this is so that it sits well. So you can see this is the bust dart here at the side. Because if we leave it this way, it will have a way of appearing around here. Because the bust dart now will be shifting to the center, that's to the waistline. So now in order to avoid that, I'm just going to fold a little here. And then I will also secure with my pin. It is well seated. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. I'm still going to stretch it out very well on the mannequin, but this is just so that I have a guide and then cut out what we need before we go ahead and continue stretching it out. Can you see how it is well stretched out on my body? So I was doing it on the flat surface, so it has a way of just folding there. So but now we already have a definition, so I'll go ahead and cut out exactly what we need, and then we'll go ahead and start stretching it out. Okay, so this is the side I have my dart. First I'll just cut out the side here. So as you can see, I've stitched the sides. So this way now it is sitting really well. And I've also released this side because I will need it to overlap like this so that the shape, the scallop shape, will come out very well. So now this is our dart here. And you see, this is what we have here. So I'm going to cut out patches from the remaining part of the wrapper. This is supposed to be a skirt, and I've cut out the skirt already. So this is what we have left here. I've cut out a few patches from it. So I'll be showing us how to cut it out. So I don't really need the big ones. All I need is just the small patterns here. And I'm using my soldering iron to do that. So this will make it very easy, and when it cuts out, it will not fray. So all you need is a soldering iron so that you can easily cut it out. Can you see? So I'll be starting from here. My soldering iron is hot already. I've plugged it and it is hot. I'm just following the shape. So that's just basically how to use your soldering iron to cut out the pattern. So this is what we have here. So I need one to just be here at the side so that this fold I have here will be completely eliminated, for it not to be visible. So I don't need this long part. All I need is this side. So I'm just going to still use the soldering iron to cut it out, just so that it doesn't fray. You see? So also need to cover up this part. So I'm going to have one here also to cover up all these parts. So this is it. So this part, I'm going to use needle and thread to tack it really well. I'll try to use a matching color of thread to tack it so that it sits very well. Can you see how it is on the neckline? So I'll tack it very beautiful, making sure that everything is sitting well. So I'll also need one for this side and then one for this other side as well. Covered all the parts that the net is showing. And you see everywhere is looking all neat. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to tack this point, tack this one, tack it very well. Make sure I'll be making sure to use a matching thread. And then I'll also tack the scallop part so that it sits well on the neckline. Can you see? And see everything is coming out really beautiful. So I'm going to tack this, and then for the back, this is what we're going to do for the back. Here's our back piece. So here I have my back pieces. These are the linings. So let's place them this way to face me. So since these are the linings, this is the modesty panel. And this is the eyelet panel. This is also the second eyelet panel. I've also stitched the boning. And see, I cut it on fold like I earlier showed us. I've stitched the boning. I stitched 2 bonings and I left a space in between. So these folded parts, because this is the starting point. So I have a boning at the starting point here, this half inch. Then I created a space of ½ inch and then I stitched 2 bonings after it. So that is it. To stitch it for the back piece, this is the main fabric. Remember, we are working with a George fabric, so I have cut out the net. So this is our back piece, the main fabric on the lining, main fabric on the lining as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is to first stitch the net together, stick the net to the main fabric. So now this is our eyelet panel, which is going to be like this. Take note that the eyelet panel, on the upper part I came down by ½ inch before I started stitching. At the down part I stitched all the way down, so the space is only at the upper part. So and this is the down part here, so this is for this one, and then this is for the second one, like this. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So remember, we have a modesty panel. The modesty panel will come from the left to the right, so this is the side that is going to be the left. So I'm going to place the modesty panel here on the lining side. You see, this is at the center back area on the lining side. So you can see I placed it like ½ inch away from the hem here. This ½ inch away from the down part. So I'm going to secure with my pin. Okay, so this is what we have. So I'll be joining them with ½ inch. So having done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in this modesty panel that's supposed to be at this side. So now the one with the boning is the one that is serving as the lining. So this other part is the part that we're going to be seeing outside. So I'm going to place them like this, right side of the lining side, facing right side of the lining side. And then I'm going to stitch. Can you see how I opened up the boning? And then I'm going to stitch them together like this. So you can see that the modesty panel is in between them. So it will come behind the eyelet panel. So I'll take this and stitch them together. After stitching all 3 of them together, let's pin it so that I can show us how we'll be joining the main fabric. Okay, so I haven't stitched them together. Now this is the main fabric. So I'm going to place the main fabric like this. Remember, it's also going to be stitched this way. So the main fabric will be on this side. Right side of the main fabric facing the right side of the eyelet panel. So when we are done, we'll have it like this. I'll go do that for all of them. This is the side with the eyelet panel. I'm sorry, with the modesty panel. So I'll be doing this on this, doing exactly what I've shown us on this side, and then on the other side I'll repeat the same thing. Of course, that one does not have a modesty panel, so I'll just do exactly what I've done. Then I'll show us how to insert the yoke into it. So I'm done joining the eyelet panel to it. So this is it. Can you see that this is what it looks like now on the right side? I joined the lining side, the part with the boning, I joined it to the lining side, and I joined the other side to the main fabric, and this is what we have here at the moment. Let me press it so that it relaxes well. Okay, so now that it is well relaxed, and you see I also went ahead to stitch the back yoke. This is what our back yoke looks like. I've stitched it, but I stitched it only to the main fabric. This is because we're going to be doing inseam sewing. I'm going to be using the back to turn the front so that our work is neat. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place them like this. This is our center back. I'll place them like this. Right side facing right side. That's right side of the lining facing right side of the fabric. And take note that my seam allowance, I pushed it towards the part with the boning. This is actually to give structure at this part. And I did the same thing on the other side. So now I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'll stitch on ½ inch. This point where the boning stops, or where the boning started from, I'll stitch on ½ inch and stop around here, leaving this part open because we're going to use it to turn the side before we completely finish off the side, which is what I have done here already. Let me show us so that we understand exactly what I'm talking about. You see that we have stitched this side already, and this is the one with the modesty panel. So I'm just going to reduce my seam allowance, and then I'll notch this side so that I can turn it out. Okay, so this is what the right side looks like, and you see how beautiful it is. And this is what it looks like on the wrong side. And you can see I left this part open because I'll be using it to turn the side. So now, for this particular part, I'm going to be running a stitch on top of it. This is our eyelet panel, so I'm going to run a stitch. I can actually feel my boning, so I'll run a stitch here, run another stitch here, and then run another stitch here. This is just to, it has a way of decorating it and also to keep it in place. You don't want to just leave it this way, so I'm just going to be top stitching it. So I'll do the same thing for the second piece, and I'll show us the next thing to do. Okay, so I'm done top stitching the eyelet panels. You can see how beautiful it's looking. So you can see a modesty panel will just come out from the back. You see, just here at the back, to just come out this way, and then we have it sitting like this. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to join the sides. So this is our front piece and this is our back piece. So this is the one. Okay, let's place it this way. This one is for this side, so that I don't interchange them. So this one is for this side and this one is for this side. So here now I'll place it like this. Can you see? Lining facing lining. So this is my lining facing lining. Can you see that I'm going up by ½ inch? This is because I've already turned the upper part of the lining of the front piece. So this is ½ inch that I'll be using to turn the lining. So now I'm going to flip this one gently. It's going to be a little twisted because I have already closed this side, but just watch carefully, you will understand what I'm doing. So I'm going to place it this way. Let's pin it so that it doesn't shift. So I'm going to place this one this way like this. So take note that I'm leaving that ½ inch, which is my sewing allowance for turning the remaining upper part here. So I'll just secure it with my pin. This is going to be hard. It's not going to be very easy because it is going to be twisted. Remember, we're working with a big fabric. So I'll just find a way of pushing my front piece away like this, It will be as if I'm squeezing it. So when we are done, we're going to give it a good press and everything will come back well relaxed. And you see? So this is just me shifting it this way. Or to make it easier so that I don't have to over twist it. So I'm going to do this side first. I will stitch it like this. That's lining to the main fabric, and then I'll find a way to turn this other one like this. just to bring it to the front. And I'll be stitching on 1 inch, which is the side seam allowance I added. I'll do the same thing on the other side, and then I'll come back and show us what we have. So I thought to show us, I've done this side already. Can you see what I have here? And this is what the armhole looks like. So we're going to be attaching our sleeves to the armhole. So because I already told her that this is going to be really, it's hard to turn it, considering that the front is smaller than the back, and this is because I already top stitched the upper part. So I thought to share this part with us so that, and I know this will be helpful to someone. So I've already stitched the lining on the side here using my sewing allowance of 1 inch, and I've turned the upper part here. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to tuck this in this way. You see? So I'll just push it in. So it is 1 inch that is our sewing allowance. You see, I'm just clipping this underneath like this. This is just me basically tucking in the sewing allowance. Take note that I'm doing this on the right side. I want to make sure that it enters inside like this. Just tuck it in properly. And then I'm going to use my pin to secure it. So if you notice that it's bulky around here, you can just trim out, just reduce it so that it's not too bulky. And then, can you see how I'm folding the half inch? That I'm sorry, the 1 inch that is my sewing allowance. I'll just fold it in. This is now overlapping on the front like this. You see? So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and top stitch it. So you can see that I have successfully neatly tucked in my sewing allowance. So this side that is bulky, all I need to do is to just bring it out like this and just trim out this front. This is the place causing the issue. So I'll just trim it just a little, just reduce it so that it's not too bulky. And then I will still tuck it in back. So can you see that now it is more relaxed, even without pinning it? Can you see? And that's exactly what I have done for this side. Can you see how neat this side is? So after tucking it in, I'm going to just top stitch it. Can you see? I'm just going to top stitch it. That is exactly what I did here, and you can see how neat it is at the side here. I top stitched at the side, and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. Everything is coming out so beautiful. So I thought to share this with us because I know this will be helpful to someone, isn't it? If this was helpful, let me know in the comment section. So I'm done stitching the sides, and this is what we have. I also went ahead to sew the sleeves to the armhole. You can see I trimmed my sewing allowance just very close because we can't weave this armhole. Remember, it is net, so we don't want to weave it. I'm going to be weaving it like that. But if you have this color of weaving thread, it would have been very fine. That's if I had it, I would have used it. But since I don't have it, so I had to just trim very close. So you can see that my work is still very, very neat. So now, the next thing to do, which is going to be the final thing. As you can see, I've also fixed my eyelets to the back. And see, it is neatly fixed. So here is to now finish up the end. That's the hem of the blouse. I've already gone ahead. I cut out a bias of 2 inches. And see, and I've stitched the bias here already on the wrong side. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to flip the bias now to the right side. That's we're going to be top stitching on the right side. Before I do that, I'll trim out the excess I have here. So after trimming out my excess, so now this is what I'm going to do. First, just reduce, you can see here. So I'm going to just tuck in this part like this. Just half inch is even enough. So I'll tuck it in like this and then fold it over. You see? First, fold in the half inch allowance here and then fold it over like this. You see? And then I'm going to stitch the hem all the way to the other side. So the other side, I'm also going to tuck it in just like this. And you see how it is looking already. So I'll do that all the way to the other end and show us what we have.
Okay, here our corset blouse is ready, and this is me wearing it on the mannequin so that we can see the final outcome. And I also have this top-bought ribbon I'll be using to lace the back. This is really strong, and I cut out a length of 120 inches. You can even make it longer than that. so that when you finish tying the ribbon, you can form a bow at the back. So you can see I've also buttoned up the keyhole, and at the down part is a pencil skirt. Of course, I didn't add that to this video because this video is already longer than necessary. I made a detailed video on how to cut and sew this pencil skirt. I will be uploading that very soon on the channel. So make sure to hit on the subscribe button, put on your notification bell so you get a notification once I upload that video. For this outfit, I'm also going to have a structure at the upper arm area, which I didn't add to this video. I will also be uploading a separate video for it. So make sure to stay tuned to see how to create that structure. And here is the wrapper. So this is the wrapper we are using to create the wrapper illusion or the wrapper fox. So you can see this is me just draping it to the side, and I'm using my needle and thread to hold it there, just to tack it there. And I'll also be cutting out this needle thread that I'm using to tack it. This is just for us to see what it looks like. You don't necessarily have to use needle and thread to tack it. You can just tie the wrapper to the side and now fold it in, just tie it. There's a way they tie it and you fold it in. But if you can't do that, you can use your needle and thread to tack it there. Why am I saying that you shouldn't use needle and thread? This is because when you're trying to remove it, it may rip off. And here, I'm not using skirt hook, which is another thing you can use. This is because this george is very heavy. So if you use skirt hook, it can just tear the part of the net. So to avoid that tearing, the best thing to do is just to tie the wrapper towards the side, okay? Just create like a knot at the side of the wrapper and just tuck it in. So you can do this at the side, you can do this at the middle, you can do this at the back, wherever you want to do it. Feel free to do what you like. I hope you have learned something from this video. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.